most realtors are people pleasers,
Yeah.
right? And so that's a terrible trait to have as a leader to be a people pleaser because
Yeah.
then you're not going to make tough decisions.
Today's episode is brought to you by Andy Bovender, the founder of the Bovender team out of the Carolinas. If you have somebody who's been thinking about making a move to or from the Carolinas, they are the team to call. If you follow the description below, you can click the link and head over to their website. Today's episode is with Susie Adamson, who is a real estate coach. Her approach is unlike anybody else, and I think you'll really get a spirit of who she is in this episode. Today, we talk about leadership, we talk about finding joy in our lives and in our business, and how to hire the right people. As well, I know you've heard me talk about the Inner Circle group. If you've been looking for a good community of agents to collaborate with, bounce ideas, and more importantly, give and receive referrals, scroll down and click the link to learn more. And as always, I'm your referral partner out of San Francisco, Shawn Kunkler. Susie, part two. Let's do this. I'm really looking forward to this. We always get these like little quick side chats, and then we immediately start going really deep into something.
Yeah.
And so I love that we're just like hitting record and going for it.
It says a lot about you, I think, that that is the nature of our conversations. As soon as you start talking, I'm like, why aren't you recording this? This is not good stuff.
I don't know if you know this about me. I hate small talk. I
I
loathe
do
it.
too.
I
I do
can't
too.
like I just can't do it. I don't want to talk about the weather.
No.
Like I don't it's so not engaging. I think what it does for me is it doesn't challenge my brain and my ADD kicks in and I'm just like, I have so much trouble concentrating.
Yeah, I have that. I also just I'm not a superficial person in
Yeah.
general. And I think the older I get, the less patience I have with surface stuff, So I'm just like, honestly, at the retreat last week, I was like, if you're, it's like a book. If you don't capture my attention in the first 10 pages, I'm out. Like, oh, I
It's
gotta
so
get a
true.
drink. I'll be right back. Never come back.
You know who's really good at that is Mark Hernandez. He just like, hi, bye. And you're like, all right, cool. But it's like it's not like it's not it doesn't come across as rude. It's just
Yeah.
like it's very concise and it's you're not gonna be in, like, one of those weird, awkward
Yes. I
conversations.
mean,
It's
listen,
like
we all only have a certain amount of energy. You have to conserve it for the things that give you energy.
yeah.
So at your event, I went up to someone that I met and I knew, but I didn't know him on a deeper level. And I said, all right, let's do this. Tell me your story. And he was like, oh, okay, we're going there. He's like, let's sit down. I was like, yeah,
Oh,
let's do
incredible.
that. Yeah.
I love
And we
that.
just like, I was like, where were you born? Tell me, like, how many siblings do you have? Do you have a good relationship with your parents? I mean, all of those things. I feel like this is true of like, whenever you're engaging with people
Mm,
at work or outside of work, when any little question like that gives you clues that tell you much more than just the one thing that they're telling you, right? Like, do you have siblings? Tells
yeah.
you so much. Do you have a relationship with them? What's the age, what's the birth order? Like, tell me about what did you fight about when you grew up, growing up or whatever. Like, it just tells you so much.
Yeah. It's true. Um, yeah, it's so true. There's actually a book, I think it's called Birth Order, and it talks about the personality traits of different like, when you were born. It's really fascinating. So I have 2 nieces, and the traits the older one has is like, I always thought, "Oh, that's just how she is." But then I have 2 stepsons, and they're almost the same age gap, and I totally see the same personality,
Yeah.
like, I you just see some of the patterns start
Yep.
to show up between those, and it's been actually just a fascinating journey to kind of experience that and see it, and, like,
Mhm.
oh, the young one, like, tends to crack a little bit more jokes and
Yep.
makes light of it, and then the older one loves to just tell everybody what to do, and there's just, like, these little subtle patterns that emerge.
Yeah. I don't think I asked you. Do you have siblings?
Have you been completely neglecting your newsletter, social media, or any of your outbound marketing? If so, I have a solution for you. With little to no commitment, a virtual assistant can jump in and help you in those areas you just don't have the time for. For more information about hiring a virtual assistant, go ahead and follow the link in the description below.
What's your birth order? Mhm. Uh-huh. Mhm. You're like an only child. Yeah. 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 Right. Yeah. That's great. And you would have had an only child situation even if they had lived in the same house because of the age difference, because of the gender difference, because you're the youngest boy, of the only boy. So,
Yeah.
so interesting.
Yeah, and I don't it's weird because I kind of have, like, both profiles. Like,
Mhm.
I have some of the younger sibling qualities, and I have some of the only child
Yep.
qualities, so
Yep.
it's just been interesting, but I had, because of that, such a phenomenal relationship with my mom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look, I learned so much about you in just 5 minutes.
And yeah, see? And it's just, it's instead of, "How's the weather today?"
Yeah. I actually shared this morning too. At one point recently, when I started getting into AI,
Yeah.
I asked my best friend, ChatGPT, to give I said, "I hate small talk, but I have to go to these networking events, and I wanna just go deep without being creepy.
Mm.
Give me a list of questions to ask." And I have them sort of in a note on my phone. This is like, prep work. And I was telling my son the same thing yesterday. We said, like, prepare in advance when you feel because he has, ADHD and he has social awkwardness and social anxiety, and I said, "Have a set of questions that you're comfortable asking."
It's funny, I just taught my youngest son, because he tends to be a little bit more quiet, waiting for his older brother to speak up for him,
Mhm,
and I was like, "Hey, man, here's a really simple strategy to keep people engaged. If they ask you a question, answer it in 2 to 3 sentences, and then spin the question back on them."
mhm.
A
Good
and
one.
so this way you never have to search for a question,
Mhm.
just leverage what they just gave you as a gift
Yeah.
back. And then if you continue to do that, you'll continue to just find questions
Yep.
organically.
Mm.
That's what this
That's true.
podcast is.
Yeah, that's true, and that's why you're so good at it. You take that advice yourself.
I that's I was as a kid, I was really shy, really, really, like, deathly shy, and I
Mhm,
realized if I can just get other people to start talking, it takes the pressure off of me,
mhm,
and I can, like, put myself in a more comfortable space, and so
mhm.
then I that's how I kind of got out of being that, like, awkward and uncomfortable.
That's awesome.
But let's talk about business.
Okay.
I know you we have that mastermind group that kind of spawned from this whole podcast, and then you've been a guest speaker more than a couple times, and I honor you for that, and I deeply appreciate it.
I
But
love it.
you and I had kind of like side conversation. We were talking about leadership, and I would love to
Yeah.
just kind of dive in at that point because I feel like whether you're a solo agent just starting out, building a team, have a massive team, leadership is the through line. Is
Mhm,
you have to be there for your clients as leaders. You have to be there. You have to shepherd the whole transaction through, and
mhm.
so there's so many opportunities for leadership, and I feel like it can fall apart. So I don't really have a question bundled in there, but I would love for you to just dive in.
Yeah, so I think, I had the benefit of when I was in the corporate world, when I lived, worked in advertising, I started managing people in my 20s.
Mm,
And so fast forward, when I got into real estate, I realized there are so many realtors who have no experience in management,
no.
right? And it is a very specific set of skills, and it is rarely taught. It's a lot of trial and error. I've learned a lot based on the bad managers I've had or people who didn't manage me well. I frequently will tell people I had uh, a manager at one point in advertising who made me cry
Oh,
regularly,
jeez.
like just was abusive. But and in real estate too, I've been on 2 teams, and I
Oh, I didn't
learned.
realize that.
Right, yeah, I started out on a team, which I think is a good idea for most agents. Maybe not everybody, but I think it's a
Yeah.
great idea to be on a team. You learn a lot, and I did learn a lot about, um, what I didn't want to do, right? What kind of team leader I didn't want to be, and so I think that's important.
Always, always identify what you don't want
Yes.
so you know what you do want. Yeah.
Hey, real estate pros, be honest. You know you should be using video, but maybe you feel awkward, don't have the time, or just aren't seeing the results. This is where Kim Rittberg's Video Bootcamp comes in. This live coaching program helps agents create high quality videos quickly and confidently, resulting in leads and clients. Her students have seen results. One landed 3 new clients directly from social media, and others brought in millions of dollars in closed sales. Spots are limited, and to apply now, follow the link in the description below.
So I have been thinking a lot about leadership within the real estate realm. And I think it is much like most of real estate, which is that nobody teaches you how to do it,
Mm.
right? Like you go to real estate school, they teach you what laws not to break, and then they like spit you out, kind of like in Being John Malkovich, where they spit you out into the Garden State Parkway. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes. Oh my god, years ago, yes.
So you like spit out, you're naked and afraid, and you're like, what do I do next? And I think leadership is one of those things everyone thinks that that's the next thing they should do.
Yeah.
You become a successful solo agent, or you're on a team, you're a successful team lead member, and you think that in order to succeed, the next obvious step is to start your own team or to hire people.
Yeah.
And yet, a lot of people don't have the skills to do that well.
Yeah.
And then they throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yep.
They think, I've hired an admin, it didn't work. That means I can never delegate. I'm too much of a control freak. I am this, that, or it's, and you start labeling yourself, right?
Mm.
Um, and then you just abandon, and then you go down the route where you either hire the wrong people and you muddle through because I think you said this yesterday when we were talking. Most realtors are people pleasers,
Yeah.
right? And so that's a terrible trait to have as a leader to be a people pleaser because
Yeah.
then you're not going to make tough decisions.
It's interesting. I had on, Benice Refkin on the podcast, and she's an executive coach,
Hmm.
and I don't know how we got on the topic, but we were talking about hiring. And I said to her, I said, "I'm the worst person when it comes to interviewing because I'm trying to sell them on joining the team
Yeah.
or being a part of it. And I'm not focused on actually doing a good interview process."
Hmm.
And she's like, "Yeah, because you're a good salesman. Like that's what you just default into that mode." And so
Hmm.
it's really tricky. It's kind of like, everything as the other side of the coin. It's like your greatest strength in
Yeah,
one category is actually a weakness in another, and it's
right. And also, if you haven't interviewed much, it's like depending on how you came into real estate, if you haven't been on the other side, then
yeah.
you also don't know how to interview. If you've never been an interviewee, you don't know what works, right? And same as if you haven't been on a team in real estate, it's hard to know how to be a good team leader.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
So
mhm.
it does, I think, this idea that you should sit in all the different seats of an organization or at least know how to do those things is really good advice. You should
Hmm.
you should, if even if you role play, right? Let's say you haven't been an interviewee in real life enough times. You're not gonna go out and like interview for jobs you don't want, but do some role playing, right? Role playing is like super uncomfortable and it's really valuable. You feel awkward doing it, but
Yeah,
find somebody you trust. And again, ChatGPT is a great resource, right? I
yeah.
am interviewing as a first time team leader in real estate. What are some questions I should ask so that I can really find and also put in there into the prompt what your goals are?
Mm,
I'm looking for someone who is really moldable, or I'm looking for someone who's super veteran. I'm looking for someone who is going to follow my lead versus I want someone who's really proactive or
yeah,
something in between. Do you know what I mean? I think not enough people think about what exactly they're trying to accomplish. This is true for everything. Not enough
that's
real estate
such a good
agents
point.
plan, and
Yeah,
that's what leads to trouble.
that's such a good point. Yeah, like, have a clear goal in mind instead of that, when I find the right person, I will know. Like,
Right.
that's
Or people have a job description, right?
yeah,
They know what skills they want the person to have. But I always
great.
remind people you also are interviewing for energy. And I don't mean that in a woo-woo way. I mean like some people want a high energy person who's like a real go-getter. Some people want unflappable, right? Some people want somebody who's right in the middle. I think it's so important to just consider like what is going to make a good fit for you and your organization
Yeah.
and think beyond just the job description.
That's a really hard dynamic, and that was hard for me to wrap my head around is when you hire one person, you have a new culture. When you hire 2
Mhm.
people, you have a new culture, and when you hire
Mhm.
3, you have another new culture, and then you're trying to shape this thing that doesn't it's not tangible, but you're shaping this thing,
So
and
I
it's
agree and
tricky.
disagree.
Oh,
I
let's hear
think
it.
every person certainly adds, it's like, if you're making a drink, the different components are going to make the flavor a little bit different, but you should have enough as the leader. Again, the responsibility of the leader is to establish what the culture is to begin with so that
True,
it can't
true.
be too mutated by
Yeah.
the people that join, right?
Well,
It should only change so much based on the people who join.
I love the idea of the drink because it goes back to your earlier point. You know what drink you're making before you start.
Yes.
You're not just adding stuff to
Right.
see, like, what happens.
Right.
You're strategically like, "Okay, I need a little bit of lime."
Yes.
And
I
you
need a little
know
bit more sugar. I need a little bit more,
yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
bitterness, right? But yeah, you have to start with I'm making a margarita versus I'm making an old
Right.
fashioned. Completely different drinks. And you're going to
Correct.
add different things to course correct. But you're not going to put some like wacko ingredient into an old fashioned
Yeah.
that's going to make it a completely different
Yeah,
drink.
I added lobster, and you're like,
Right.
"Wha wait, what? Why?"
That would make an interesting drink, Sean.
It would make garbage. That's such an interesting I love that analogy. It's so good because
Well, and
I've
that gets
definitely
to like, initially, when people think about adding a team member, whether it's an admin or a buyer's agent or whatever, they just think of their need, but they
Yeah.
don't spend enough time um, really setting the foundation for what that person's going to come into, right? Because
Mm,
you, as a team leader, have to offer something for that team member to want to join your team and give you part of their commission because it doesn't make sense if you're not getting some portion of their business, right?
yeah.
And so uh you have to give them leads, or you have to give them admin support,
Yeah.
or you have to give them marketing support, or some combination of the three. The final thing would be mentorship, right? So like
Yeah.
you're going to give them something to make it worthwhile, but you should have thought that through before you hired that person. You need to know what it is you're offering them. You need to have enough of the standards established. So I shared
Yeah.
this, before. I think you should have you should think through your standards, you should think through your systems and structure, and you
Yeah.
should think through your support before you ever make your first hire.
I agree, and I there's so many little nuances even to that, like, if you're, let's say, hiring for an agent on your team, a brand new agent needs a completely different they have nothing. Literally, they
Mhm,
have no knowledge, they have no experience. You're literally starting them from 0. The upside is they're learning your ways
mhm.
versus finding somebody who's already has an established track record. The upside is they have a track record. The downside is they have their ways of doing it.
That's
And
right,
so now you're trying to remold somebody into your systems and process. And so,
right.
like, both have pros and both have cons, and it's
That's
just
right.
you have to kind of
But you
figure
have to have
out.
thought about it beforehand. Right? You have to think about what's important to you,
Yeah,
and you have to think about what pain points you're experiencing that you're trying to alleviate,
yeah,
because you're going to be creating new pain by adding team members. So make sure that whatever pain you are alleviating is enough to take on the new pain of having to add on management to your job. So,
yeah,
tons of agents are super busy, so they hire people to help them be less busy, but
and they're more
they're more busy and they're way more stressed because
Yeah,
they've now just added managing, which is in and of itself a full-time job, really, to their
true.
job description. And for
Yeah,
many people, they're ill-equipped to do it because they've never done it before.
it, yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm just thinking through my own personal experiences. It just adds a whole nother of complexity to your business
Mhm.
while you're keeping them engaged
Yeah,
because they're humans and they have
right.
wants and needs and goals and dreams and all that amazing stuff backing them.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it's tricky from like a leader's perspective. And I know from my personal experience, I had very soft management coming into this. I had leadership aspects, but I didn't have the autonomy that I have now.
Mhm.
And so it's given me like this new role. And so there's like as we evolve, it's like these perpetual new sets of challenges as you're going.
Yeah.
You're continuing to build the plane as you're flying it
Yes,
is
yes.
what's happening.
It also you just made me think also of, I think that a lot of people feel like if I'm a loosey-goosey manager, that's better for people. Like, give people a
No.
lot of freedom. Like, give people a lot of, like, unstructured, just let them do their thing. But we know from every area of life, personally, on a micro level and a macro level, that more freedom actually can create more problems.
Sure.
And, we were just talking about how your son went to Korea and how he experienced what he felt like was a really safe environment. And I would contend that a large part of that is because it is not as free in the way that Americans think about freedom
Mm,
of a culture. Like, when we went there 2 years ago, our tour guide talked to us about how, school-age children, like, young children had, like, mandatory at some point, whether this was COVID or before, I can't remember, mandatory cleanup duty. They had to go before school, walk around their neighborhood and clean up trash. And I was like, that would never happen here, right?
Wow.
Can't even get people to put on masks in this country to like save lives. The idea that you can like mandate that kind of activity
Mm,
in certain cultures is like, yeah, of course. That's just for the greater good, you
yeah.
know? And I think that that's why I come from a perspective of like structure is positive.
Mm,
Structure gives guidance, structure leads to a better communal experience. I won't go so far as to say I'm a socialist, but I do believe that, there are some benefits to having more of like social standards of doing certain things. And I do think that that's why I have in the past been a good team leader as well,
yeah.
because I do think about like, I want to create enough expectations, like be super clear on my expectations because that will help people succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
People, I had a school superintendent once that I worked with who said, people will do what you measure them against, right?
100%.
It's not because people are greedy or selfish or whatever, lazy. If you give them something you're going to measure their performance against, then that's what they're going to do. That's why our school system is based on test scores,
Mm,
right? We excel at like math and language arts because that's what's tested on standardized tests.
yeah.
Why aren't we testing on art? Well, because it's not as quantitative, right?
Yeah.
But like that's why then we don't get funding for art because we're not measuring for it. Same thing with teams. If you do not set up measurements for your team members, whatever you want that to be, the number of calls they make, the number of deals they do, the number of office meetings they come to, the amount of hours they spend in training, whatever it is you think is going to like actually reflect your culture,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
then they don't know if you don't set that from the upfront and then actually hold them accountable to that, then why would you be surprised when they're not performing the way you want them to?
It's so true. All of that is so true. And I think I reflect on myself is there's internal pressure and there's external pressure.
Mhm,
And I do really well when there's a mix of both. Like when
mhm,
I'm really compelled to do something, I will hell or high water, it's going to happen. And then if there's a little bit of pressure from the outside,
mhm.
additionally, then like I just go for it.
Right.
And it's if let's say there was somebody on our call yesterday who has 26, 27 people on their team and I think I can't remember 4 are just not performing as well.
Mhm,
But I guarantee if you put all those people on the same call and for an hour you went over everybody's numbers, so
mhm.
everybody heard everybody else's numbers, and, these 4 duds were like half of the effort, they would either self-select out or they would feel pressured to be like, "I'm not gonna be the last one called on that list the next time."
Right, so if that's your measurement, if
Correct.
volume is your measurement, right, that's the right way to do it. If there's some other measurement that you're using to assess success on your team,
Yeah.
then you need to have those conversations. What's happening for you internally and externally that's not motivating you to meet these success measures? So that requires that you have established success measures and then you need to have those conversations. I have those conversations with my coaching clients. Why aren't you what's standing in your way, so that you're not getting this homework done? So that you're not establishing these habits that I'm telling you are foundational to the future success of setting
Yeah.
up these systems. Let's unpack what's getting in your way. And there may be a situation where this approach just isn't working for you. okay, then I'm not the right coach for you. That's okay. That's not a
Mhm,
failure on my part. It's not a failure on your part. Let's figure out what's going to work better for you. And true for team members, right?
mhm, mhm,
It's
mhm.
not a failure. It is just not the right fit. I really
Yeah,
think that not enough team leaders think about it is your job to find people who are the right fit on your team. It is not whether or not they're not motivated, they're not successful, this is not the right business for them, blah, blah, blah. That's not for you to decide. All
yeah,
it's for you to decide is, are they a good fit for your team? And if, in fact, you don't have the bandwidth or the skills to be an ongoing, like hands-on manager, then you absolutely only need to hire people that don't need that kind of management. Or if you want to hire people who are good, moldable, shapeable people and who've got raw talent and you think that they can be great real estate agents, then maybe you need to step up your game a little bit more
yeah.
or provide different structure or hire someone on your team to be that person, right? I've seen
Right.
many teams who have like the team lead is great at generating leads. There's an like more of a COO type of person
Yeah.
who manages the team and the processes and all that, right? So like there are different roles to be played depending on how you want to scale your business.
And all of this, which I love this conversation, and I feel with all of this, we were joking before we recorded. We started a little bit around 9 o'clock my time, and that's Friday's the only day that I do that. Most days I don't put anything on my calendar until at least 10. And what I like to do in the morning is before I turn on my computer, I try to give myself an hour at my desk with my coffee to just think,
Hmm.
to think through these things. Like, I do wanna build my team. How do I want it to look? Who do I want? And think through, do I wanna get this skill or do I wanna find somebody who has it? And kind of, I think reflecting on your business, if from doing all of these podcasts, I have found a few common threads. One of them is most people were athletes, which means they've all had coaches, and most of them continue to have coaches as one through
Hmm.
line. The
Hmm.
other through line is they all have this phenomenal ability to evaluate, to sit back and reflect, and to sit
Hmm.
back and think of the big picture, the macro and the micro, and then figuring out, okay, what chess pieces do I have to move, or what skills do I need, or who do I need to hire that has those skills for
Yep.
me to then move this thing to the next level. And I think that's often a subtle, overlooked quality
Yep.
that some of these really high performing agents do have.
Agree. Agree. I think one through line of agents who don't get to that level is they don't take a step back and plan 5
Yeah.
steps ahead. You can see the people who operate, we talked about this before as well, like who are just so used to operating in chaos that that feels like the normal,
Yeah.
then they can never get to the higher level. Those people who are,
That's
you
me.
know, people who
I
are
I'm so ADHD and I work best in chaos, but I also realize that's my detriment.
I mean, I would have to disagree. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of your business, but the fact that you take time to actually think is a marker, I think, of future success.
Hmm.
Most agents, I think, that never take that breath, never set aside even the 10 minutes in the car in the driveway, which is when I used to get my quiet time, right? Like I would pull into the driveway and just sit there for like 10 minutes and think and do and whatever.
Yeah.
If you don't ever set aside time to recharge, then 100% guarantee you will burn out at some point.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And
And you'll do it again and again.
it's awful.
It is awful.
It's so hard to come back from it. It's
It
so
really
hard.
is. It really is. And I will say, I loved selling real estate and being a realtor for 7 years. For 7 years, I loved, loved, loved it.
Hmm.
And then right before COVID, this wasn't even because of COVID, but right before COVID, I hit a wall. And I was just like, I don't love this anymore. And that wasn't because I didn't have systems and whatever, but it was because there
Mm.
were certain elements of the work that were draining me more than I was getting fueled by it. So at that point, you
Interesting.
just have to ask yourself, right? What is energizing me and what is enervating me? And it has to be just like last week when we went to the retreat.
Yeah.
I came back, I said, I was sufficiently drained and re-energized. You have to have at least in equal measure for it to be worthwhile, right? If you're just going
Yeah.
to something, I have been recently to a regional event where I was drained more than I was recharged. And so
Mm.
then I'm like, maybe that's not the right venue for me next time. Or I have to figure out how to make the recharging part greater so that it's worthwhile. Right? So it's not just about also what business you're getting from it. When I hit that wall, I was making more money than I had ever made in my career. So it's not about like that measure of success.
Yeah.
But if you are getting just drained, 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 and there isn't enough to recharge you, then you have to ask yourself what's going on. Can I fix it? If not, how do I pivot? What do I change? So that, ultimately this isn't all about how successful we are in business, it's how successful we are in life. And I don't wanna get to the end of my days and feel like all I did was work.
Oh, it's you're like hitting the nail on the head. I hit a point where my production was through the roof. I had a record sale and I was miserable.
Mhm.
Just totally burnt out on I was just burnt, completely, like, both ends of the candle were just fried, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to escape, um, and it's such and again, it's like, having been there, it is a slow, arduous climb back out.
Yeah. Because once you hit that wall, it's sort of like when you have a really massive fight with somebody, it's hard to get back that love and feeling, like, you just
True.
have to not get to that point because once you get there, it really is hard to recover. So, you know, I think there are a lot of things that you can do until you get to that point. When you start feeling yourself tipping the scale between what drains you and what recharges you, when you start
Mhm.
feeling that, you have to pay attention to the warning signs until before it's too late.
And it goes back to now that I'm thinking of it, when I was in that moment, it was just go, 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 because it was just my phone was just nonstop.
Mhm.
And I didn't have those times to reflect. And I didn't have those moments to myself to think about, like, is this healthy? Is it sustainable? Am I taking time for myself? Does
Mhm.
this feel good? It was just I was just putting out fires left and right
Yeah.
and completely burning up in the process.
I will say, I really believe in, just like making sure that you're thinking about your life holistically, right?
Mm,
So most agents get to the point when they're really successful of the work consuming too much of their lives. And I think if you
um,
only carve out at like one or two things during the week that just purely give you joy so that
yeah,
you can recharge. And I recently heard somebody on, I think it was a Family Talk talking about how you have to think of something that you can do that actually allows you to shut your brain, like, that you can only concentrate on that thing.
yeah,
So, for me, that might be pickleball or mahjong. Those are my 2 latest things.
love it.
For a lot of people, it's like tennis or it's sailing or something where you really gotta be dialed in or, like, someone's gonna get hurt or you're gonna suck
Yeah,
at it. So, I think, for anyone listening, if you don't have at least one thing in your life that you can do where you're not thinking about your job, then you gotta find that thing.
yeah. It's funny, I stopped doing the 2 things. They talk about flow state. I only had 2 things that I did in my life that I don't do any longer, but it was martial arts. like when you're sparring, you have
Yeah,
to be tuned in to the
yeah,
nth degree. Otherwise, you're gonna literally get hurt, or motorcycle racing. And same thing. It's like you're either focused on the corner ahead
yeah,
or you're crashing. And
right.
there's no it's very binary. And unfortunately, I sold the motorcycle to fund the business when I first got into it, and
Mhm.
I haven't been on a bike since.
I don't want you to get back on a bike, but I do think you should get back into martial arts.
I mean, martial arts ravaged me. God, I
Can
wound up
you do something else along those lines that would give you joy? Can you teach it? Can you, like
I burnt out on it. It's funny, I burnt
yeah.
out. I so when I was doing martial arts, I wound up getting my black belt, becoming assistant program director, and then becoming program director. And then as program director, basically all the shit funnels down to you,
Mhm.
and it's like literally on you all the time. And we had I I don't know, probably about 20 instructors, and in a given week, 5 would call out, and so I would always have to cover classes, and so I was
Mhm.
teaching like 16 classes a week, plus running a school, plus selling, and I would just like and then at the pinnacle, the peak of it all, I wound up fracturing my back and getting
My
bulging
gosh.
discs in my neck. And, like, I was in excruciating pain, and I was like, "I can't do this, I'm done,"
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
literally quit and went to Italy for a month.
Okay. That's not a terrible thing. So what else
So
can you pick up? What else do you have in your life, Sean, that helps you shut your brain off? And if you can't
I
think of
don't
anything,
I
I
don't
am
have it. You know what
I
I've been doing? This is, before this, and, so this morning I got up, hung out with my dog, sat at my desk, and then probably about, like, 10 minutes before we hopped on, I went onto Marketplace and I started looking at 1975 Porsche 911s.
okay.
So I think that's gonna be and that's my 2 stepsons totally got me into Porsches, and so that's I feel like I'm gonna have a fun weekend car.
Okay. That works. Maybe think about a less expensive joy activity to start. So that's what
I'm
I'm gonna
not
start
like that.
calling it. I put a little sticky note. I mean, after this, I'm gonna add to my task list to check in with you in a week about one joy activity that you can incorporate into your life.
It's funny, my joy activities are I love building. Like,
Okay.
not physically, but, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I built this podcast,
Uh-huh.
I love the whole experience. And it's like, "All right,
Yes.
let me next level this thing." And then I started my mom passed away in September, and literally that weekend, I was like, "I got an idea for a business," and I've been working on another side business just because it's fun.
So
Um,
I I I believe you that that's fun. It's also exhausting.
it
So
is,
I want
but
you
it's
to
good
find
exhausting.
a joy activity that isn't work related, something that is purely going to give you joy and also during which you cannot think about work.
That's fair. Alright, Susie, challenge accepted.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to
And I'm
figure
going to
this
be
one out.
checking in with you in 1 week. And everybody
Yeah.
on this call should be thinking about at least one joy activity that they can incorporate into their lives with consistency to recharge your battery, even just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't maybe I just need to start playing video games more or something.
That works. If that gives you joy, if it energizes you.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, I can tell this is hard for you.
It is really hard. My default is always like it's funny, it goes very much to business, marketing,
Mhm.
strategy,
Yep.
building, like, it
And I think that's very typical of entrepreneurs. People who are really good at being entrepreneurs are always thinking about their next idea, and that energizes you. There's a difference between things that energize you and things that give you joy. Don't mistake the two.
this is why you're a good coach. Like, this is why I have you back. This
Yeah,
is
there is a difference. And there's
You're
a
right.
Venn diagram, right? It does overlap, but I think there is a distinction between things that just purely give you joy and
Yeah.
other things that give you energy. Like going to the retreat gives me energy, but not all of it was purely joyful.
Yeah.
But there was enough of like where I got to reunite with my friends, my real friends from around the country, not my referral partners and whatever, friends.
Yeah.
That gives me energy. I learned that during COVID, actually. I realized I had always thought I was an extrovert and that I got energy from other people. But during COVID, became very clear that I only get energy from certain people, right?
Good
Not
points.
not everybody gives me energy. In fact, a lot of people drain my energy.
Interesting.
So I was only getting that during COVID because I wasn't socializing with my friends and
Mm.
my deep connections, except over Zoom and except over phone calls. I wasn't getting those hugs that I needed from my like real meaningful friends. We talked about
Yeah.
how neither of us are small talkers. I have, thank God, such good friends in my life
Yeah.
from many seasons. And because I couldn't fly, and they're in like California and Massachusetts and Chicago and wherever, I couldn't see them for like a year. And like little by little, all of that like energy is just drained from me. And
Interesting.
I finally hit a point where I actually had a mental breakdown. And I
Oh, I'm
was
sorry.
really in a dark place. And I called my doctor and she said, I am prescribing social interaction for you. You have to get together with your friends. I get
Wow.
that it feels unsafe for you, but you need to sit outside. It was November. It's freezing cold. I called up some of my close friends. I said, I need you. Come. They all came to my backyard on our deck. We lit the solo stove. We sat 6 feet apart, bundled up from head to toe. I literally bought electric socks because
I love
I
that
was
though.
so cold, but I needed to see people. And
Yeah.
it was enough. And I just learned like I have to have these ways for me to recharge my battery in the way, it's like the love languages. Like, how do you receive love? How do
Yeah.
you re energize? How do you recharge? There is a difference between being recharged through work
Yeah.
and being recharged through things that just fill you up, do you
Yeah.
know?
Wow, similarly reminded me of a similar place that I was in during COVID. And probably about the same time, I called up 4 different couples that we were really close with, and we obviously hadn't seen in a while. And we have a fire pit on the deck, and we set up all the chairs.
Mhm.
And then, my youngest, Grayson, and I set up a huge screen on the side of the house, and we all sat outside and watched Top Gun, and
So good.
the best it was just the best magical moments
Yeah.
in, like, this bleak period that we're all,
Mhm.
like, laughing and cheering and
Yes.
just, like, being together. No one's
Yep.
talking, we're watching a movie, but it was, like, just such a great experience. So you're right, there's a huge difference
Yeah.
between the 2, and joy is so much more fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think we get used to the energy we get from work. We get
Mm,
used to the dopamine that we get from screens,
interesting. Good point. Yeah, yeah.
and we forget about there's a difference. I just been doing research on like the difference between dopamine and serotonin.
Mm,
And like dopamine gives you energy, and I'm not a scientist, so like don't come after me if I get this wrong, but dopamine gives you energy, but like serotonin gives you joy, right? So I had recently offered I'm a photographer, and so I'd recently offered to my neighborhood, I'll take free photos of your dogs for you.
oh, that's cute.
Just as a way to like build relationships and like who doesn't want pictures of their dogs, right? So it's
Yeah.
easy. It's an easy win. But I found that as I was editing the pictures, I was getting so much joy out of just looking at these dogs. I was like, this
Aw.
is a win. Do you know? Like it
Yeah.
is. kind of for work, but also, oh, okay, now I know I have a data point that just looking at pictures of dogs are gonna make me feel better. I find that, like, gently squeezing babies' arms and legs release release serotonin. Do you know? I call them human stress balls. Not hard, just like
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's so simple. This isn't rocket science. This is just like I mean, I love to laugh. Laughter is like my drug of choice.
Yeah.
So, like, any opportunity I'm gonna get to be with people who make me laugh, that's I'm gonna take that all day long, and that's gonna fill me up so I can, like, deal with stuff that drains my energy, do you know?
Yeah. Oh,
I think the
that's
more you're in touch with the things that just really light you up, then you can recharge for the things that do give you energy, but also drain your energy.
hmm, that's good. I'll have to, I'll really have to chew on that. I really appreciate that perspective, and I've certainly lost it because, you're right, like, I just chase the dopamine, not the
Yeah,
serotonin.
yeah.
Like, I'm
It's
always
easy
looking
to
for
do.
the next hit, like, the
Yes.
next, like, "What's the rush?"
It's a drug. It's a drug.
Yeah.
And then we forget, like I mean, I guess it's sort of like I've never been addicted to drugs, but I assume it's like when you're addicted to drugs and you forget to eat. You're not getting
Mm.
the like, you're energized, but you're not getting the nutrition that you need to fuel your body. That's a
I
similar
mean, it's
idea.
similar to coffee is,
Mhm.
we kinda you keep chasing the next cup, you skip eating, you'll just,
Yep.
run to the next meeting, have another
Right.
cup of coffee, run to the next meeting, and you never and then at the end of the day, you just totally crash because
Yes.
you realize you hadn't eaten, you're
Yes.
totally mentally fatigued, you
And then you're
haven't.
cranky and you're taking it out on everybody. Nobody wants that,
Yeah.
Sean.
This is a good therapy session for sure.
Yeah.
I needed that.
My psych major comes in handy a lot.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's such a nice ace in the hole to have in this business, that is for sure,
Yes.
especially when you're coaching
Yes.
these crazy high performers who are just j go, go, go.
Yeah. And really do think in a vacuum. They think, you know, I share this a lot. Like I coaching clients often will say, "Oh gosh, I didn't get any sleep last night, but okay, let's just talk about work." I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, because that's feeding your ability to think straight, to make decisions properly, to manage people, to deal with frustrating clients. If you don't get enough sleep, if you don't get enough rest, if you're not
Mhm.
getting enough water, if you're not getting outside, all of that's going to factor in.
I mean, I literally did it. If somebody just rewinds and listens to me, it's like I was like business, business, and then I'll do another business. And then you're like, yeah, but what's joy? Where's the joy?
Yeah.
And then it took me a second to kind of understand what you meant by that and then
Mm-hmm.
realize where I'm deficient in that in my own life. And so, yeah, like again, even this conversation myself, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just looking for that next, like, big adrenaline dump, the dopamine."
Yeah.
I even literally have a bottle of adrenaline. Somebody gave it to me as when I was a kid. It's empty, but
Oh,
it's a medical bottle of, it's like an old, like, 1800s bottle of adrenaline because I that's
cool.
as a kid, that's what I chased it through motorcycles and skydiving
Yes.
and bungee jumping, and that's just how I was wired.
I like this conversation, Sean. This is not where I thought we were going today.
I never know where these are gonna go, and it's funny, but these conversations are my joy.
Yeah.
I love having these conversations, and even when I sit down and do it, it's funny, I've had people help me produce the episodes and like, "No, you have to ask these organized questions," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, but if I'm focusing on questions, I'm not focusing on the conversation, and
Yeah.
I'm losing the nuance of when you're talking about joy. I'm just thinking about the next question.
Right.
And so I need to be in that moment with you. And so
Well, you
my
do it
favorite
really well.
thank you.
And I have talked to other guests about this as well. I do try to be on podcasts as often as I can, and it is really fun to talk to you because it is just an organic conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I had to it's, you know, to go back to your point about joy, I guess that I had reflected on how and what makes me joyful in this experience, and I don't know my guests, more often than I have an idea, but I love the exploration of the conversation. It's just like this cool thing that just evolves together, and so, yeah, I would actually say this is the most least non-work thing that I get to enjoy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I actually, on that note, and you can edit this part out, but I had this idea, I don't know if it was this morning. I don't wanna do my own podcast, but I think what a podcast that would be really interesting is if you had on a guest who had a problem to solve and we, like, talked through something that they're working on. Do you know, kind of
Yeah.
um, like an advice column, but
Yeah.
as
Do
a
you know what
podcast?
do you know what's funny is this is so funny that you bring that up, but I've contemplated doing that on this
Oh,
show
isn't that
is
funny?
yeah, because I feel like, you know, through martial arts and through my life and through my experiences, I definitely default to some coach settings for
Yeah.
sure. And so often than not, I think from these conversations, I kind of I hear the emptiness between the beats that make the music,
Mhm,
if that makes sense.
mhm, mhm. Boy, I
And
love
so
that.
I feel like I would love I think that would if somebody wants to do it, you can ping me. But I feel like that would be
Well,
fun.
I mean, what if you did that as like a once a quarter or once a month thing? You know, if the 2 of us, we put it out there, like, if you have a problem that what you just wanna, like, work through,
Let's make it
not
happen. I'm down. I'm totally down
right?
for it.
I
Yeah.
think that would be fun.
I think it's you know, what's funny is my test is I always do a wince test. Like, "Ooh,
Mhm,
does that make me feel a little uncomfortable?" And I'm
mhm,
like, "Yeah, that makes me feel a little uncomfortable." That sounds like a fun idea.
yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah, similarly, I used to always say, "If it doesn't make you a little nervous, then you're not growing. You should be a
yeah,
little afraid."
100%. It should be like, I think the whole concept, and we can have a whole 'nother episode on it, is there's constructive discomfort. It's like
Yeah,
when you go to the gym and you
yes,
come home and you're sore, or
yes,
when you're trying
yes.
to break that muscle down and it's
Yep,
fatiguing and it's failing,
yep,
like, that's good.
yep,
And I think the problem is we get fear
yep.
or I'm sorry, we feel something about it and we misidentify it as fear, and then
Mhm,
we repel away from it. It's like, "Oh,
mhm.
I have an opportunity to speak on stage. Oh, I can't speak on stage. I'm too fearful." And then we stop that opportunity to grow, where it's
Yeah,
like, the reality is if you go on stage and you do it, you're not gonna die. Like,
yeah.
it's actually not unsafe, and these people actually do wanna hear from you.
Right.
And so it we're almost just misinterpreting this
Yeah,
thing, whereas going to the gym, it's like, if you actually do that, you're gonna get stronger. And
yeah.
what's really wild, now the caffeine's really kicking in, is our brains, when you do something that's really challenging and really uncomfortable, that part of your brain actually gets stronger like a muscle, meaning the next time you do it, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
And then
That
the
makes
next
sense.
and then the next time it's a little easier. Like the first time I did a podcast, it was awful. It was so
Mhm.
uncomfortable, and I hate even going back and looking at it because 'cause I'm like, "Oh my god, I was so nervous and tense." But then the next one was easier, and then the
Yeah.
next one was easier, and now it's like, I think this is episode 130-ish, and it's
Amazing.
like, it just happens. Like, I love doing it. It's
Yeah, and I
just
just wanna ride your coattails. I don't wanna start my own thing.
Well, listen, we'll meet off air and we'll find I think that would be really fun. I feel
There's
like
something in it, especially if you were thinking about it as well. I feel like kismet.
yeah, I think we can and we riff really well, so I feel like
Yes.
it would be a fun and interesting endeavor, so we'll have to find that right
And
person.
also, not for nothing, but when you have other people on, right, you get their audience as well. So, like, it's also just an organic way to grow your audience size.
And that's the spirit behind the podcast is, when I started it, I realized very early on that I'm not the star of the show. My guests are the star of the
Mhm.
show. And how do I then help them connect with their audience
Right.
better? And
Mhm.
that's really been the driver behind all of this.
So good. So fun. I'm so
Thank you.
glad we met.
I know it's who introduced us? Somebody introduced us.
Sky.
Sky, that's right.
Yep.
He's amazing. Such
He
a good
is.
coach onto himself.
Yes. Yes. I was thinking about talking to him about doing it too, but I think he's got too much on his plate.
His plate's pretty darn full.
Yeah.
He's a sought after guy, which is
Yes,
a
he
good thing.
is, which is a very good thing.
Unfortunately,
Okay, it's 1:15.
we are at time. So again,
Yes.
Susie, thank you so much for joining me. I always appreciate our conversations.
Thank you for having me.